They thought they were the only Deathworlders until they encountered humans. Part 1. First Contact. The year was 2187. The Earth exploration vessel Frontier moved slowly through the darkness of space. Commander Ethan Wright sat in his captain's chair, on the bridge watching the stars through the main view screen. "Captain, I'm picking up artificial signals from the Orion 379 system," said Communications Officer Ryan Miller. His fingers moved quickly across his control panel. "They don't match any known human patterns." Ethan straightened in his chair. After nearly a century of space exploration, humanity had yet to encounter intelligent alien life. Every strange signal brought hope and anxiety in equal measure. "How far?" Ethan asked. 3 days at maximum speed, sir." Ethan didn't hesitate. "Set course, alert the crew, and get Dr. Patel to the bridge." Within minutes, Dr. Maya Patel arrived. The xenobiologist had spent her career preparing for this moment. Her dark eyes were wide with excitement. "Is it real this time?" she asked. "Seems that way," Ethan replied. "We'll know in 3 days." For the next 72 hours, the Frontier raced toward the source of the signal. The crew barely slept. When they finally arrived at the edge of the system, they discovered a flourishing civilization. "Multiple artificial structures detected," reported Sensor Officer Olivia Grant. "Ships in orbit around the 4th planet. And they've spotted us." "Open a channel," Ethan ordered. "Standard first contact protocols." The main screen flickered, then revealed an alien face. The creature had scaled skin, large yellow eyes with vertical pupils, and a ridge of armored plates running along its skull. Its mouth opened to reveal sharp teeth. "Unknown vessel," the alien said in a deep rumbling voice. "You have entered Araxian space. Identify yourself." Ethan stepped forward. "I am Commander Ethan Wright of the United Earth Space Command vessel Frontier. We come in peace and friendship." There was a long pause. The alien's eyes narrowed. "You claim to be from Earth? A planet with life?" the alien asked. "Yes. We are humans from the planet Earth in the Sol system." The alien turned and spoke rapidly to someone off-screen in its own language. There seemed to be confusion, even argument. When the alien turned back, another figure had joined the screen. This one wore elaborate decorations and had deeper green scales. "I am Science Elder Vexillia of the Araxian Dominion," the new alien said. "Your claim is unexpected. We must verify. Prepare to receive a delegation." 6 hours later, a sleek Araxian shuttle docked with the Frontier. Dr. Maya Patel stood beside Commander Wright as the airlock cycled open. 4 Araxians stepped through. They were taller than humans, with powerful builds and thick armor-like scales. They carried themselves with natural confidence. The leader stepped forward. "I am Razak, military guardian of the Araxian Dominion." He studied the humans with intensity. "You are smaller than I expected." Dr. Patel smiled. "And you're exactly as impressive as we hoped our first aliens would be." Science Elder Vexillia moved closer, a device in her clawed hand scanning the humans. "Fascinating. Carbon-based, internal. Skeletons, significant water content," she looked up. "You truly evolved on a planet with life." "Of course," Maya replied, confused. "Didn't you?" The Araxians exchanged looks. "We have encountered 17 spacefaring species," Razak said. "All evolved on gentle worlds with minimal environmental threats. We alone come from a death world." "A death world?" Ethan asked. "A planet that tries to kill its inhabitants," Vexillia explained. "High gravity, extreme temperatures, deadly radiation, aggressive predators, natural disasters. Our homeworld, Araxia, is such a place. It forged us into what we are." Maya nodded. "Earth has many of those challenges, too." Razak made a sound like rough laughter. "I doubt that. No offense intended, but your physical form suggests otherwise. You have no natural armor, no apparent defensive capabilities." "Perhaps we could exchange information about our worlds," Ethan suggested. "Learn from each other." The delegation moved to the conference room. Images of Earth appeared on the screen. Hurricanes, volcanoes erupting, lions hunting, diseases under microscopes. These are the challenges of Earth, Maya explained. Our planet has everything from ice caps to burning deserts, from deep oceans to high mountains. We face predators, diseases, natural disasters. Razak crossed his arms. Yet you appear so fragile. We adapted differently, Ethan said. We developed intelligence, cooperation, and technology. And endurance, Maya added. Humans can't match your strength, but we can outlast almost any species in our environment. Vexlia looked fascinated, but Razak remained skeptical. Words are easy, he said. Reality is harder. Among the Araxians, we don't just tell of our capabilities. We demonstrate them. What are you suggesting? Ethan asked. A friendly exchange, Razak said, showing his teeth. Physical demonstrations, cultural exchange through action, not just words. Ethan looked at his crew, then back at the Araxian. We accept. Later in the Frontier's gym, the humans watched as Razak lifted weights that would have crushed a human. His scaled muscles barely strained. When finished, he looked at Ethan with confidence. Your turn, Commander. Instead of trying to match the alien's strength, Ethan stepped onto a treadmill. He began to run at a steady pace. Minutes passed. Then an hour. How long can he continue? Vexlia asked, now genuinely curious. Marathon runners on Earth can go for hours, Maya explained. Our ancestors hunted by chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Razak's expression changed. You hunt by running things to death? Among other methods, Maya said. We're not the strongest species on our planet, but we're among the most persistent. As the day continued, more comparisons emerged. The Araxians could withstand extreme temperatures and radiation that would kill humans, but humans could go longer without rest, had faster reaction times, and displayed problem-solving approaches that surprised the aliens. When the initial demonstrations ended, Vexlia approached Maya with excitement. Your species evolved in ways we never considered possible for Deathworlders. You adapted through endurance rather than armor, through cooperation rather than individual strength. Razak was more reserved. Impressive in your own way, but the true test comes under real pressure, not controlled demonstrations. As if responding to his words, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Commander, called Olivia from the bridge. We're detecting a gravitational anomaly. Something's wrong with the space around us. Ethan and Razak rushed to the bridge together. On the screen, they saw a distortion forming between the ships. It's some kind of spatial rift, Olivia reported. And it's growing, Razak hissed in surprise. A void tear. They're rare but deadly. Both our ships are in danger. Ethan turned to his crew. Looks like we'll get that real pressure test sooner than expected. Let's show our new friends how humans handle a crisis. As the rift expanded toward both vessels, two different species of Deathworlders prepared to face the threat, each with their own strengths, each about to learn what the other was truly capable of. They thought they were the only Deathworlders until they encountered humans or two. The challenge, the void rift, pulsed with strange energy, growing larger by the second. The crews of both the human vessel Frontier and the Araxian ship watched with mounting concern. Void tears feed on energy, Razak explained quickly. They're drawn to powered systems. Commander Ethan Wright made his decision immediately. Olivia, power down all non-essential systems. Keep only life support and minimal shields. You would make yourselves vulnerable? Razak asked, surprise evident in his voice. Better vulnerable than consumed, Ethan replied. He turned to his communications officer. Ryan, warn the Araxian vessel to do the same. Razak touched a device on his wrist and spoke rapidly in his native language. On the view screen, they saw lights dimming on the Araxian ship as it too reduced power. The rift's expansion slowed, then stopped. But it remained between the two ships, cutting them off from each other. It will dissipate in approximately 12 hours, Vexlia said, after consulting her scanner. Until then, we are stranded here. Then we have time for that cultural exchange, Ethan said with a slight smile. Would you like a tour of our ship? As they moved through the Frontier, The Araxians studied everything with keen interest. In the medical bay, Dr. Jack Morris was treating a crew member with a minor injury. "You heal so quickly," Vexillia observed as she watched the doctor apply a regenerative bandage. "Our kind takes much longer to recover from wounds." "But your natural armor prevents many injuries in the first place," Dr. Maya Patel pointed out. "Humans had to develop medical science because we get hurt so easily." In the ship's mess hall, they watched as humans ate together, laughing and talking. "Your people seem very connected," Razak observed. "Araxians value individual strength and personal achievement. Humans survived through cooperation," Ethan explained. "We're not the strongest individually, but together we can overcome almost anything." Their tour ended in the ship's training area. Lieutenant Samuel Rivers, the Frontier's security officer, was leading several crew members through combat exercises. "Physical training?" Razak asked with interest. "Perhaps a demonstration?" Sam looked to Ethan, who nodded. "Nothing too intense," the commander cautioned. Razak stepped forward. "On Araxia, we have a tradition called the Challenge Circle, a test of skills between warriors who respect each other." Sam smiled. "We have similar traditions on Earth." They cleared a space in the center of the room. Razak removed his outer armor, revealing the natural scales beneath. Sam wore only his training clothes. They stood facing each other in the makeshift circle. "First to pin their opponent wins," Sam suggested. Razak nodded. "Agreed." They began circling each other slowly. The Araxian was clearly stronger, his movements powerful and assured. Sam was quicker, lighter on his feet. The human crew watched nervously. The Araxians observed with interest. Razak struck first, a powerful lunge that would have ended the match immediately if it had connected. But Sam wasn't there anymore. He had sidestepped with surprising speed. "Impressive reflexes," Razak commented. The match continued. Razak's attacks were devastating but predictable. Sam avoided rather than blocked, conserving his energy. Minutes passed. The Araxian's movements began to slow slightly. "Curious," Vexillia said quietly to Maya. "Razak seems to be tiring, yet your human appears fresh." "Endurance," Maya replied. "It's our evolutionary advantage." Finally, Sam saw his opening. As Razak launched another powerful attack, Sam dropped low, used the Araxian's momentum against him, and with a quick sequence of movements, pinned his opponent to the floor. The room fell silent. Then Razak did something unexpected. He laughed. "Well, fought human," he said as Sam helped him up. "You use my strength against me." "You nearly had me several times," Sam replied respectfully. "I've never faced someone so naturally powerful." The moment was interrupted by a communication alert. Ethan answered it and frowned. "The rift is affecting our systems more than we thought," he announced. "We're losing life support in sections of the ship. We need to evacuate parts of the lower decks. Our ship can assist," Razak offered immediately. "Once the rift dissipates." "That's hours away," Olivia said from a nearby console. "Temperature is already dropping in the affected areas." "Then we adapt," Ethan decided. "Move essential equipment to upper decks. Set up temporary quarters in the cargo bay." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. The Araxians watched as humans quickly reorganized, adapted spaces, and solved problems on the fly. "Your people work well under pressure," Vexillia noted to Maya as they helped move medical supplies. "We've had lots of practice," Maya replied. "Earth has a way of throwing unexpected challenges at us." Meanwhile, Razak joined Sam and a team trying to manually override a stuck door to rescue trapped crew members. "The cold doesn't seem to bother you much," Sam observed as they worked in the increasingly frigid corridor. "Araxians evolved in extreme temperature variations," Razak explained. "Your people, however, seem uncomfortable yet continue working. Why?" "Because people need help," Sam said simply. "Discomfort doesn't matter when lives are at stake." When they finally forced the door open, they found 3 crew members huddled together for warmth. Despite their obvious discomfort, they had been calmly working on a solution rather than panicking. As the crisis stabilized, Ethan invited the Araxian visitors to join the officers for a meal. Despite the cramped conditions of their temporary arrangement, the mood was positive. To new friends, Ethan proposed, raising his cup. And fellow Deathworlders, Razak added, surprising everyone. Later, as they stood looking at the void rift on the view screen, Razak spoke quietly to Ethan. I misjudged your kind, Commander. I saw your lack of natural armor as weakness. I failed to recognize that you evolved different strengths. Different paths to the same destination, Ethan replied. Survival. Vexillia joined them. I have been communicating with our ship. The High Council wishes to extend an invitation. They are curious about humans. Curious in what way? Ethan asked. For generations, we Araxians have defined ourselves as the only Deathworlders in known space, the only ones tough enough to evolve on a truly hostile world. It gave us pride, but perhaps also arrogance. Vexillia looked at the humans around the bridge. Your existence challenges everything we believed about ourselves and our place in the galaxy. That can be uncomfortable, Maya said, joining the conversation. Yes, Razak agreed. But discomfort does not matter when truth is at stake. He echoed Sam's earlier words with new understanding. The void rift on the screen began to shrink. As it disappeared completely, both ships regained full power. The High Council invites you to visit our homeworld, Vexillia announced formally, to share knowledge between Deathworlders. Ethan looked at his crew, seeing excitement in their eyes. We would be honored. As the Frontier prepared to follow the Araxian ship to their homeworld, Maya stood beside Ethan on the bridge. Do you think they're ready to see what humans are really capable of? She asked quietly. Ethan watched as Razak's ship moved gracefully ahead of them. I think they're beginning to understand, but they haven't seen humanity truly tested yet. And when they do? Maya asked. Then they'll learn what Deathworlders like us do best, Ethan replied. Adapt and overcome. They thought they were the only Deathworlders until they encountered humans. Part 3. Crisis response. The journey to Araxia took 5 days. The Frontier followed the Araxian ship through unfamiliar star systems. Commander Ethan Wright used this time to prepare his crew for what lay ahead. Remember, we're not just explorers now, he told his officers. We're representatives of all humanity. The Araxians believed they were the only Deathworlders in the galaxy. Our existence challenges their identity. Dr. Maya Patel nodded. They respect strength and resilience. We need to show them our kind of strength. When they finally arrived, Araxia filled the view screen. It was a forbidding world with vast oceans of dark purple water, land masses covered in reddish vegetation, and swirling storms visible from space. Gravity is 1.3 times Earth normal, Olivia reported from her station. Atmosphere is breathable but has higher nitrogen content. Surface radiation is within tolerable limits but higher than Earth. Prepare the landing team, Ethan ordered. Environmental suits as a precaution. The Frontier entered orbit alongside several Araxian vessels. A message came through from the planet's surface. Commander Wright, a deep voice said. I am Council Elder Moxon. Your ship and crew are welcome to Araxia. Razak will guide your landing shuttle to our capital city. The landing team consisted of Ethan, Maya, Sam, and pilot Alex Turner. They boarded the shuttle and followed Razak's guidance down to the surface. As they descended, they saw massive cities protected by domed shields, vast agricultural areas, and wild regions of untamed wilderness. The shielded areas protect against the worst radiation surges and storms, Razak explained through the communication system. Only training grounds and mining operations exist outside the shields. They landed on a platform in the largest city. The moment they stepped out, they felt the increased gravity tugging at their bodies. You may find movement difficult, Razak said as he greeted them. Visitors from other worlds usually require assistance devices. We'll manage, Ethan replied, standing straight despite the extra effort required. The Araxians had prepared a formal reception. Council Elder Moxon and Science Elder Vexillia waited with other officials in a grand hall. The walls were adorned with images of Araxians battling harsh elements and fearsome creatures. Our history celebrates survival, Moxon explained, noticing Maya studying the artwork. Every generation earned their place through strength and courage. Humans have similar stories, Maya replied, though we often celebrate those who survived through intelligence and cooperation rather than just physical power. A young Araxian named Tivra was assigned as their guide. I will show you our science center first, she said eagerly. We wish to learn more about your physiology. At the science center, the humans submitted to various scans and tests while Araxian researchers watched with fascination. Your muscle density is lower than ours, Vexilia observed, yet your endurance is remarkable, and your cellular regeneration rates are faster. Humans heal quickly, Dr. Jack Morris explained. We evolved in an environment with many predators and dangers. Those who could recover rapidly had an advantage. Later, they toured the city's defenses, impressive technological achievements, and finally, a training ground where young Araxians practiced survival skills. Our young must prove themselves capable of surviving outside the shields for 5 days, Razak explained. It is our coming-of-age ritual. As they watched the training, alarm sirens suddenly blared throughout the city. Araxians began moving with purpose but without panic. What's happening? Ethan asked. Radiation surge, Tivra explained. A solar storm. The shields will protect us, but... Her words were cut short by a more urgent alarm. Moxon approached rapidly. We have an emergency, the elder said. A mining operation was caught outside the shields. Their transport is disabled. They cannot return before the radiation reaches dangerous levels. How many? Razak asked immediately. 20 workers, including juveniles in training, Moxon replied grimly. A rescue would be extremely hazardous. Ethan stepped forward. Our shuttle has radiation shielding. We can help. The Araxians turned to look at him in surprise. You would risk yourselves for Araxians you've never met? Moxon asked. Of course, Sam replied as if it were obvious. That's what we do. Minutes later, they were in the shuttle with Razak and Tivra, flying toward the stranded miners. The sky had turned an ominous dark red. Instruments showed radiation levels climbing steadily. There they are, Alex said, pointing to a disabled vehicle below. Figures could be seen taking shelter under it. The radiation will peak in 20 minutes, Tivra warned, checking her scanner. We have very little time. Alex landed the shuttle as close as possible to the stranded miners. When the door opened, hot wind carrying corrosive particles blasted inside. Even in their environmental suits, the humans could feel the hostility of Araxia's unleashed fury. Razak led the way, his natural armor providing some protection. Sam and Ethan followed while Maya and Tivra prepared the shuttle to receive the survivors. The first miners they reached were juveniles, scared but disciplined. They're not physically mature, Razak explained as they helped the young Araxians toward the shuttle. Their armor hasn't fully developed. As the radiation levels continued to rise, they worked to evacuate everyone. The adult Araxians were slower, some injured from trying to repair their transport. With just minutes remaining before the radiation reached lethal levels, they had almost everyone aboard. One missing, an Araxian worker reported. Supervisor, Krazan went to secure the mining samples. He hasn't returned. Razak prepared to go search, but Ethan stopped him. Your suit is damaged, he pointed out, indicating where the corrosive particles had eaten through Razak's protective gear. I'll go. Before Razak could protest, Ethan was running back toward the mining site. He found the supervisor collapsed, next to a sealed container, overcome by the combination of radiation and the planet's punishing gravity. Despite the weight, Ethan lifted the Araxian onto his shoulders. The journey back was grueling. Each step in the heavy gravity felt like lifting weights. His muscles burned. Warning lights flashed in his helmet as radiation penetrated his suit. But he kept moving. When he finally reached the shuttle, Sam helped pull them inside. The door sealed, and Alex immediately took off, racing to get back under the city shields before the radiation peak hit. In the shuttle, Maya and Tivra worked together to treat the injured supervisor. The juvenile Araxians watched Ethan with wide eyes as he removed his damaged helmet, revealing a face streaked with sweat. "Why?" one of them asked simply. Ethan, catching his breath, looked up. "Why what? Why risk yourself for a stranger? For an alien?" "Because they needed help," Ethan replied. "On Earth we have a saying, no one gets left behind." The shuttle made it back to the city just as the radiation storm reached its peak. As they landed, they saw a crowd of Araxians waiting, including Council Elder Mox-An. Later, after the DI injured were treated, Mox-An addressed the human visitors formally. "Today you have shown us something we did not expect to find among the stars," the Elder said. "Not just physical resilience, but something perhaps even rarer. The willingness to risk oneself for others without calculation of benefit." Razak, standing nearby, added quietly, "Perhaps this is what truly makes a Deathworlder. Not just the ability to survive, but the drive to ensure others survive as well." As the radiation storm raged outside the protective shields, humans and Araxians sat together, no longer as curious strangers but as fellow survivors with a new understanding between them. They thought they were the only Deathworlders until they encountered humans. Part 4. The True Threat. 2 days after the radiation storm, the Araxian High Council invited the humans to a formal meeting. The Grand Chamber was filled with Araxian officials and scientists, all curious about these unexpected fellow Deathworlders. Commander Ethan Wright and his team entered wearing their dress uniforms. They moved confidently despite the heavy gravity that continued to tax their muscles. The Araxians noted this effort with respect. "Honored visitors from Earth," began High Commander Zexora, the supreme military leader of the Araxians. "Your actions during the recent crisis have earned our respect. Today we wish to discuss a matter of great importance." Ethan nodded. "We're listening." A large screen activated, showing images of strange creatures. They looked like dark, shifting clouds, with tentacle-like appendages and glowing cores. "These are what we call void predators," Zexora explained. "They exist in the space between systems, feeding on energy sources. For generations, they have been only a minor concern, attacking isolated outposts or lone ships." Science Elder Vexilia stepped forward. "But in recent cycles, their behavior has changed. They have begun coordinating attacks, their numbers have increased. And worst of all, they have developed an appetite for the energy signatures of our starship engines. 2 days ago, while you were assisting with our mining crisis, we received a distress signal from our research outpost in the Nextar system," Razak added. "The signal indicated a containment breach. The outpost was studying captured void predators." "We've lost contact with the outpost," Mox-An said gravely. 47 researchers were stationed there. "We fear the worst." Dr. Maya Patel studied the images carefully. "These creatures can survive in space? Without any protection?" "Yes," Vexilia confirmed. "They generate their own energy field. Our weapons have limited effect on them." "We're organizing a mission to investigate," Zexora stated. "Given your species' demonstrated problem-solving abilities and your different evolutionary approach, we would welcome human participation." Ethan looked at his team, seeing their interest. "We'd be honored to help." The next day, a joint mission departed for the Nextar system. The team included Ethan, Maya, Sam, and communications specialist Ryan Miller from the human side, along with Razak, Vexilia, Tivra, and an Araxian scientist named Zendar. As their ship approached the outpost, they saw the damage. Parts of the station were torn open to space. Dark shapes moved around it, feeding on the remaining power systems. "Void predators," Razak said grimly. "At least 30 of them." "Any life signs?" Ethan asked. Tivra checked the sensors. "Faint readings from the central section. Some survivors may be in the emergency bunker." "We need to approach quietly," Zendar advised. "The predators are attracted to energy emissions." Ryan studied the communications data. "I might be able to help with that. The void predators seem to communicate using electromagnetic pulses. If we could generate similar patterns, we might mask our approach." The Araxians looked at him with surprise. You determined that just by looking at the data? Vexilia asked. Ryan nodded. It's similar to how some Earth creatures communicate. Worth a try, at least. Using Ryan's insight, they modified their shuttle's systems to emit pulses that mimicked the Void Predator's communication. The plan worked. They approached the station without attracting attention and docked at an emergency airlock. Inside, they found a nightmare. The station was cold and dark, emergency lighting casting red shadows. Some areas were exposed to space, separated only by emergency force fields. The survivors must be in the central lab, Vexilia said. It has the strongest shielding. As they made their way through the damaged station, they found signs of the researchers' last stand, makeshift barricades, improvised weapons. The Araxians had fought hard. They're evolving, Zendar said suddenly, examining a dead Void Predator. Look at these energy absorption structures. They've adapted specifically to feed on our shield. Technology. Maya knelt beside him. These organisms can evolve this quickly? It should be impossible, Zendar admitted. Unless... A noise from ahead interrupted them. They rushed forward and found the central lab sealed with emergency protocols. After identifying themselves, the doors opened to reveal 12 surviving Araxian researchers. Commander Razak, their leader said with relief. We feared no one would come. What happened here? Zexora demanded. The specimens we were studying, they changed. Suddenly, rapidly. They broke containment as if they had planned it, as if they were intelligent. Zendar moved to a still-functioning computer terminal. I need to see the research data. While Zendar worked, the others prepared to evacuate the survivors, but Maya noticed his expression growing increasingly troubled. What is it? She asked. Quietly. This isn't the first encounter with these creatures, Zendar said, his voice low. 2 generations ago, the Araxian fleet encountered a large cluster of Void Predators. They were deemed too dangerous to study. The official records say they were eliminated. But they weren't? No. Some were captured for secret research, and the data suggests... He hesitated. The data suggests they've been deliberately exposed to various energy weapons and defenses, forcing them to adapt. Maya's eyes widened. Someone's been weaponizing them. Their conversation was interrupted by an alarm. The Void Predators had noticed the active systems in the central lab. They were gathering outside. We need to leave now, Razak ordered. The shuttle doesn't have enough weapons to fight through them. Wait, Maya said. I have an idea. She turned to Zendar. These creatures feed on energy, right? What happens if they feed too much? Zendar blinked in realization. Theoretical models suggest they would destabilize. Like overcharging a battery, Ryan added, catching on. Together, the humans and Araxians quickly rigged the station's remaining power core to create an energy surge. They would overload the creatures, but they needed someone to activate it manually after everyone else evacuated. I will stay, Razak volunteered. No, Ethan countered. I can set it up with a delay and still make it out. Human speed, remember? As the others evacuated with the survivors, Ethan worked to prepare the power core. But the system was more damaged than they realized. The delay function wasn't working. Outside, Sam waited at the shuttle. When everyone except Ethan was aboard, he made his decision. Get them clear, he told Razak. I'm going back for my commander. Inside, Ethan was still trying to fix the delay mechanism when Sam arrived. The Void Predators are breaking through the outer doors, Sam reported. We're out of time. The manual override is working, but someone needs to stay to activate it, Ethan said grimly. Then we both stay and both leave, Sam replied. He quickly explained his plan. When the Void Predators broke through into the central lab, they found what appeared to be 2 humans working frantically at the power core. They moved in to attack. But these weren't humans at all. They were environmental suits stuffed with material set up as decoys. The real Ethan and Sam were already running through a maintenance tunnel toward an emergency escape pod. Behind them, the power core began, its overload sequence triggered by a timer Sam had rigged from his communicator. As their escape pod launched, they saw the station erupt with energy. The void predators swarmed it, feeding eagerly on the sudden power surge, and then beginning to destabilize as they absorbed too much. From the safe distance of the rescue shuttle, humans and Araxians watched as the creatures that had seemed so unstoppable began to rupture from within. Your solution was unexpected, Zexora said to Maya, using their hunger against them. Sometimes the strongest enemy can be defeated by their own strength, she replied. As they headed back to Araxia, Zendar shared his discoveries with both crews. Someone among the Araxian military had been experimenting with the void predators, hoping to use them as weapons. The creatures had escaped, more dangerous than ever. We will find those responsible, Zexora promised grimly. And what about the remaining void predators? Ethan asked. There must be more out there. Yes, Razak agreed, which means we have a common enemy. He looked at the humans with new respect. Perhaps it is time for Deathworlders to stand together. They thought they were the only Deathworlders until they encountered humans. Part 5. Deathworlders. United news of the void predator threat spread quickly through the Araxian Dominion. The successful mission to the research station had revealed not only the danger but also evidence of illegal experiments. High Commander Zexora ordered a full investigation, and several military officials were removed from their positions. 2 weeks after the incident, the frontier received an important transmission. A fleet of Earth ships had arrived in Araxian space led by Admiral Lisa Chen. The appearance of multiple human vessels caused initial alarm among the Araxians. They think we're under attack, Ethan explained to Razak as they watched the approaching fleet from the Araxian command center. I sent a message after the research station incident, but I didn't expect such a rapid response. Admiral Chen's flagship, the Endeavour, docked with the Araxian space station. She emerged accompanied by a team of Earth's top scientists and military strategists. Among them was Ben Foster, an environmental engineer specializing in hostile habitat adaptation. The Grand Elder of all Araxia, Vaxun, called for a special council meeting. It was the first time in Araxian history that aliens had been invited to such a gathering. The great council chamber was filled to capacity. Araxians of all ranks and positions came to see the humans who had proven themselves as fellow Deathworlders. Admiral Chen stood tall despite the heavy gravity, addressing the assembly with respect but confidence. People of Araxia, I bring greetings. From Earth, she began. Commander Wright has informed us of the void predator threat. These creatures pose a danger not just to our two worlds but to all civilized space. We propose an alliance between our peoples. Grand Elder Vaxun, his scales showing the pale color of extreme age, studied the human admiral carefully. For generations, we Araxians have stood alone as Deathworlders. We believed our evolutionary path was unique in the galaxy. Meeting humans has changed our understanding. Different paths, same destination, Maya said quietly, echoing Ethan's earlier words. The void predators are adapting to Araxian technology and defenses, Admiral Chen continued. But they have not yet encountered human approaches. Together, we may develop countermeasures they cannot adapt to quickly enough. What exactly are you proposing? Asked Kalara, a progressive Araxian military strategist who had been working closely with the frontier crew. A Deathworlder alliance, Chen replied. Sharing of knowledge, technology, and resources. Joint defense operations, and most importantly, cultural exchange. Our differences are our greatest strength against an adaptive enemy. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Many Araxians were enthusiastic, but some expressed concern about revealing military secrets to a species they had known for such a short time. In the end, Grand Elder Vaxun made his decision. We will send a delegation to Earth to see this other Deathworld for ourselves before committing to a formal alliance. 1 month later, the Araxian delegation arrived at Earth. The group included Razak, Vexilia, Kalara, and several other military and scientific leaders. As their ship entered Earth's atmosphere, Razak looked out at the blue planet below. It looked so peaceful, he remarked. Appearances can be deceiving. Ethan replied with a smile. The humans had prepared a global tour for their visitors. They began in the Arctic, where Araxians witnessed humans working in research stations surrounded by deadly cold. Then to the dense Amazon rainforest, where diseases, predators, and poisonous plants created a constantly challenging environment. They visited the scorching Sahara Desert, the treacherous peaks of the Himalayas, and bustling cities where humans lived in vast numbers. Ben Foster, the environmental engineer, guided them through Earth's history of natural disasters and human responses. He showed them how humans had developed systems to predict, prepare for, and recover from earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, and other catastrophes. Your species seems to thrive everywhere, Vexillia noted with amazement. From ice to desert, from mountains to oceans, adaptability is our greatest strength, Maya explained. While your people evolved impressive natural defenses for one harsh environment, we became adaptable enough to survive in all environments. During their stay, a powerful earthquake struck a coastal region. The Araxian delegation watched in fascination as human disaster response teams mobilized instantly. They saw people rushing toward danger rather than away from it, working tirelessly to save strangers. Razak joined a rescue team, using his Araxian strength to help move debris. Working alongside human volunteers, he witnessed firsthand their determination, their refusal to give up on those trapped, their willingness to risk themselves for others. At a global conference following the Araxian visit, Grand Elder Vaxoon addressed representatives from Earth nations via holographic projection. We came to Earth expecting to find another death world like our own, the ancient Araxian said. What we found was something both similar and profoundly different. Araxia forged our people through brutal natural selection, favoring the strongest, the most armored, the most resistant to harm. The elder paused, looking at the assembled humans. Earth took a different approach. It created a species that can adapt to any challenge, that turns weakness into strength through cooperation, that faces the impossible with innovation rather than brute force. Where we evolved thicker armor, you evolved quicker healing. Where we developed resistance to pain, you developed the courage to endure it. Where we learned to stand alone, you learned to stand together. The formal signing of the Deathworlder Alliance took place in a symbolic location, a village that had been rebuilt after a devastating volcanic eruption. Where death and destruction had once reigned, life and cooperation now flourished. Kalara and Maya worked together to develop a training program that combined the strengths of both species. Araxian natural armor and strength with human adaptability and endurance. Araxian resistance to extreme conditions with human innovation and problem-solving. As news of the alliance spread through the galaxy, other species watched with concern. The idea of Deathworlders united was unsettling to many, but a message from a distant star system brought surprising news. The discovery of a third Deathworld species evolved in a methane-rich environment with intense electrical storms. We may not be as alone as we thought, Admiral Chen told Ethan and Razak as they stood watching a thunderstorm approach over the ocean. Lightning flashed across the sky, beautiful and dangerous. Perhaps that's the final lesson, Razak said, his eyes tracking the lightning. Deathworlders can stand alone and survive. But standing together, we do more than survive. We thrive. The storm rolled in, powerful and wild. Rain began to fall, heavy drops striking the ground. Most alien visitors would have fled from such weather. But the humans and Araxians stood together, watching the display of Earth's power without fear. To Deathworlders united, Ethan said, and to whatever challenges the universe sends next, Razak replied. The lightning flashed again, illuminating their faces. One smooth, one scaled. Different in form, but alike in the determination written there. Two species forged by harsh worlds, now facing the stars together.